Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday to you, January 12th. Hope you had an amazing week. You powered forward in some big goals or got some things off the ground. And I hope you do something fun this weekend. Have a good meal, eat some good food, see a show, see a movie, or just relax at home, whatever you fancy. But I do hope it's a good weekend for you. All right, let's see what we got here. Page, can I not start off wrong? The Page of Swords. So this is some observance from a distance. Could be someone watching you or you watching someone. Maybe you just going to sit in the mall and people watch. This is, of course, obviously a practical high vibrational perspective of this card. The lower vibration is people that may be sitting in your parking lot or in your neighborhood watching you. It's funny because it's true, and it's not funny because it's true, okay? Because people are really kind of unhinged right now in some ways that I'm sure some of you, but I sure hope not all of you, can attest to. But let's just keep it general, that this is definitely about, well, the pages are messages, right, and messengers. And of course, the Page of Swords would be one, definitely in that vein with the communication, the swords being the communication element. But it very much is also someone that's more observant than they may be communicative for some reason, for some purpose, even if it's you that are being, quietly watching or observing a situation. Maybe you are, maybe you watching the ones watching you and they don't think you watching them, but so who knows, right? Who knows? I dare not drag this reading to hell before we even get to the gates, but the reality of this card is that a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, when it comes up, of course, within certain contexts, it's usually not the most promising. But as I said, it could even be researching for more information or gathering information, wanting to be more knowledgeable on a topic, of subject, a situation, a person, a place, a thing. Hopefully, if this has anything to do with you, then you are doing so with the most superior intentions, pristine intentions to just be enlightened or to be educated in some way, shape, or form that's going to be empowering and productive. Okay, so let's just keep it there and let's move on and see what else we got. Okay. All right, another page. Should have brought that other one out, shouldn't I have, now that I think about it. The Page of Wands is here. Page of Wands is usually really good news, though. For the most part, it's about an invitation to expand, explore, discovery, maybe even perhaps self-discovery. So with that, with the information, with the observance card, maybe that's what it is. It's you're observing some new aspects of yourself that you weren't knowledgeable of before. Maybe you're exploring some new energies that have evolved within you, or some new, I just heard new hobbies, but it really is more so about your energetic force being a projection. So maybe a new talent, a new expression of creativity, or it's being expressed on another level, in another realm or outlet. It's definitely something new, though. With the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords, there's something fresh here. And I love that the Page of Wands comes out to follow, because as I've said, usually that's positive news right there, that you get to do something exciting and maybe something foreign to you to some degree, or that you feel foreign to. Like I said, that's fresh, but usually promising. Let's see what else. Okay, and then we got this. The Nine of Wands. What's the Nine of Wands about? Let's see. Let me get another card on the other side. I hope you can see these. The other reading, it seemed a little bit cut off. All right, Nine of Wands. Ooh, come on, really? That's where we going? Like, oh man. See, I'll be trying to keep it high, but when I feel it, I feel it. And when you see the Page of Swords, it's always like, oh, here we can go. All right, let's see. So the Page of Swords was scouting. What's the Page of Swords was scouting for? Oh, for an opportunity to attack. Oh, well, okay then. That's different than what the hell I've been chirping about. That's funny. I tell you, you just gotta laugh. You just gotta laugh it off at this point, because it's like, really? With this again? Yeah, so somebody was looking for an opportunity to forge an attack or to impose some energetic influence one way or another, but it seems like as quickly as it was incited is as quickly as it ended, you know. Like I get the sense that in their observance they had the wrong intel, you know. It could be somebody that, you know, for, like I said that for a reason. I don't know why, but I don't know the reason, but I'm just saying, like, I never say anything for no reason once I turn this camera on. But I said, like, somebody could be sitting watching you and they thought, you know, they really gathered all the information that they needed for whatever ambition. Who the heck knows? But one thing about it is, if it's ending in the Ten of Swords, as I suspected, it probably wasn't well-meaning, or it probably wasn't pure in intention and motivation. The Page of Wands, it's like, now with the pages, I'm feeling it. Like I said, Page of Swords, you didn't quite have all your facts and figures. You thought you did, but maybe you missed something. And then the Page of Wands is like a misstep, almost like somebody a little wet behind the ears to some degree, that thought they had the you know, the drop, but when it came down to it, something fell short or something fell through. Because we got the Nine of Wands, which is somebody looking back, agitated, you know, quite annoyed and dissatisfied with their actions. Yeah, it's like they had everything lined up in a row for this attack. Maybe even people, that's what I'm seeing, these almost as like a little army of people, or some type of advantage that they felt they had lined up with these wands behind him. Oh, maybe that was because Ten of Swords is a betrayal. So maybe the force that he had that he thought he had behind him betrayed him. Now that could be energetic, or that could be physical, whether he was working with other people or working with other entities or forces. As I said, like I said, a little wet behind the ears, thought he had it all, you know. Somebody with the Page of Swords thought he had read all the transcripts, all the spells, said all the incantations, you know, taking all the dictation and instructions of whomever and however he got this directive, but it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, basically. Yeah, and another damn page. Look at this. Yeah. All these damn kids. It's like kids. Like amateurs is what I hear. What's next? What's after this page of cups? Let me see. What's the page of cups offering to? The Knight of Wands. So this is the energy behind the page. This is the ambition. Oh, so they was too. Okay. Yeah, so this is the ambition, but here's the wounded word right here, right? This is the ambition and the drive for this desirable outcome with the Ten of Pentacles. Like this knight wants to conquer this Ten of Pentacles. But the facility is of a Page of Cups. It's like they was too big for their britches, ultimately. Trying to fit into shoes that don't fit. Like trying to wear your big brother's Jordans. Oh, this is funny. All right, let's see. Yeah, so this one, pardon me, sorry, my hair, I got this high bun on the top of my head, so it's hitting the light. And it may not be the last time it does that. So this page, so this Knight of Wands, well, that's the energy of the Knight of Wands. Sometimes can be over ambitious, driven by lust, driven by, and with the Page of Cups, somebody that's intoxicated with lust, or at least seduced by it in some way, shape, or form. Maybe seduced by the ambition for this Ten of Pentacles. Some big windfall or takeover. Because that's what I was about to say. Like this one Knight of Wands thought he was going to infiltrate this Ten of Pentacles all by himself. That's what happened. Because see, he thought he had an army. He thought he had a whole force. But look, this is him thinking he's this is him supposed to be the soldier, the general even of sorts. But this is the true nature of him as the Page of Wands. He did too big for your britches. And the pieces that he thought he had in place weren't, because all along there was obviously some plot and plan of betrayal, probably to get him out the way, to make a beeline to this fortune, or to whomever he thought he was working with, to absorb it for themselves. And then his intoxication with this lust, and it like just blind ambition is what this is giving me, is how he missed the signs and signals that he wasn't covered. Yeah. Oh, wow. That he wasn't covered. That the rug was literally about to be pulled from under him. And was. Clearly. He refused. He was refusing to see. You know what I hear? Refusing to sober up. That's what I hear. And it doesn't have to be like actual, stop drinking, although it could definitely be that. but to have a sober mind and perspective about his circumstances. It's like the signs and signals were there, but he kept refusing to accept the reality, refusing to read the hand. It's like he saw the handwriting on the wall, but he refused to read it. Like, nope, yeah, like I said, somebody that's intoxicated with ambition. And the tower hit. Damn, what's on the other side of the tower? Something unexpected. Well, and what's with that? Just to balance it out on the other side. There's the chaos and confusion, like some eruption. What the hell? What happened here? He already down up here. How much worse can it get with the Five of Wands? What more can? Oh my God! Like, this operation didn't just get stopped; it got burned down. Yeah, it's like, well, you know, when the archangels start showing up, who the hell even knows what the consequences may have been, or what the return may have been. And it may, whatever it was fair. It was fair game. I'll say that. It was fair game. The effect absolutely measured the cause. Mirrored the cause, I should say. And with the Temperance, what is that telling me with the Five of Wands? I hear righteous indignation. Is that the word? Righteous indignation? But that still feels more to me like, even if this was an uprising within the ranks of which he was aligned, or someone was aligned, you know, in some collusion with, it was fair because the shit was doomed to fail anyway. You know, like it needed to almost crumble from the inside out, as such as the tower. It like almost like that was the spiritual justice of it all. It needed to implode from the inside out for it to completely be destroyed. It's like having a band of thieves, you know, that ultimately eventually start turning on each other. It's kind of like poetic justice, you know, for one by one, they all take each other out or just disable each other in some way, not necessarily like to any definite demise, but you know what I mean. No honor among thieves, right? And it's like it was spiritual justice for it to go down like this, that they would fall by their own hand, by their own regime, by their own plots and plans, on account of all those that have been vulnerable, or dare I even say victim to the same. You know, that, like I said, poetic justice, that they would meet the same fate that they've been dishing out, more or less, at least one of these. But I'm saying they because there's clearly a presence of collusion here with the Five of Wands, and then with the Ten of Swords, multiple pages now. Like I said, I was like, these damn kids. Like, what the hell? Family working together, or a soul group. More of a soul group, but could be family too. No, but the fact that it's both of these presents here, like the Ten of Pentacles, definitely, this is someone that tried to infiltrate a legacy or dynasty or family, maybe even an inheritance, to assume an inheritance for himself. And this was like a collusion of a heist or some plot and plan. And Spirit said, no, you don't. Nobody's getting anything. Or what you thought you got, you didn't. But here's the 10 of Cups with the 8 of Pentacles. Like somebody's working hard. It's either this family working hard collectively or somebody in, well, I keep saying family, but in this case, especially here, right, as like a derivative of the 10 of Pentacles. This is these are people that came together as a family, or at like a, oh, I just heard mafia. That type of energy where it's like, it's family, but it ain't that everybody is all necessarily family, you know? Yeah, I feel like that's confirmation right there with the Ace of Cups. What's after the Ace of Cups? Strength. And after and under the Tower, let me just get one more. Oh, I got 2 more. I'm gonna put this over here. Let me get one more under the Tower. The Hierophant. Interesting. Hold on. Hold on. What's going on here? So we got this 10 of Cups. Hold up. All right, I'm gonna just say this how I feel it, because it's giving me that the audacity here. Now, mind you, here we go again with the disparity in the suits with the Page of Cups and the Ace. At the 4 of Cups, he forfeited that Ace of Cups, which is showing itself here. This is somebody that tried to mimic the energy signature of a divine family of sorts, like a legacy, you know, like something. That's why I said it was like mafia, but this is the inflection of it here. It's like with the intention to have the power and even the dignity that this energy would justifiably have, because all of this is actually pretty damn good with the 10 of Cups and the 8 of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Strength, the Queen of Cups, the Hierophant, and then the 6 of Swords. It's like somebody wanted desperately to look like they didn't just they built this organization, or like I said, family. I have to keep using that in quotes, but the principles of which it was built upon, remember there was betrayal here, was janky as hell. It was supposed to, it was supposed to give the appearances of some divine family, some exalted bloodline, or some, what's the right word? Like, because divine seems too something from me here, even though the evidence is here for it, and that's probably what it is more mystically. But practically speaking, wanted to give the impression of like a affluent, how can I say this? You know, like wanted to build a name that would ring bells, like those families ultimately, like a power family, you know, like your Roosevelt kind of Kennedy, the big names, you know, like the ones that started this country to some degree, or at least transitioned us into certain eras of wealth, or themselves into certain eras of wealth. And that's the energy here. It was all for the intentions of material gain and prominence. But what was forfeited was the spiritual foundation. But it's like something about this is like somebody, that's why I said it was really audacious of this person to feel like they could have this undertaking, almost wanted to completely, he didn't just want to infiltrate the family, he wanted to dismantle the family, but then exalt this organization of which he had concocted, you know, this motley crew of, I don't even know what the hell they are, to be honest. I don't know what to call them. Maybe it's nothing to call them at all because it's all dismantled anyway. But it was on account of absorbing more pure energies, or damn, Spirit, give me the words. It's like it's something foul that happened where like desecrated the name of a prominent family to exalt what his establishment, or I don't know what to call it. Because it's like, this is the real family. And when we're talking about, I mean, some of those old world names acted like like gangsters to some degree. I wish I could think of at least one good name, like Carnegie. I swear, like I'm at a loss for all of the names, like Gilded Age type of energies. You know, the ones that established the banks and the railroads and the trading, the stock market, and you know, those types of energies in the country. There more or less was corruption there, but it was also during a time when there was very little restriction or regulation as well. So it is what it is. But in this day and time, it's like somebody that was definitely, it was like the Black Mafia family type of energy. Like that's the true nature of it, where whatever their business was, it wasn't good. The things that they were, you know, they were engaged in, almost black market or something that so secret that I can't even get into it. Like I literally am like, it's almost like something is keeping me from crossing this threshold. But what I will say is it definitely is a matter of finances, as it always is, right? But given the fact we got a judge here, we also got the Ten of Pentacles. So that's what I'm saying. It's like he wanted to create the trust. There's another big financial word of a family order and structure that would wield a certain prominence of for appearances, and also dominance in whatever black market or underground world they were aligned with. But something here is also the exchange rate was at some desecration of a family that actually was or is pure. It's like extracting the energy from that source to fun. It's like it would be like the equivalent of, how can I say this? I won't say no names because it might get offensive, but it could be the equivalent of it being a very charitable family. You know, a family that's known for their philanthropy, for doing God's work, more or less, that's tightly knit, loving energy within them. And, you know, just like a very high vibrational energy. And it'd be some, you know, dark ass family, some, you know, toxic, trauma ridden family that could like run a scheme on this family and just completely deplete their resources, like desecrate their names, start rumors about them, about, you know, plant information or rumors about how they run their business, what they actually do. Like that's what it is. It's a projection, because it's like this energy down here, they work hard in the spirit of spirit, you know, really in love and truth and things like that. The Pentacles with the 8 is the only thing here, but it's coupled with the 10 of Cups, which is more about spiritual satisfaction than it is material. But this was the focus here, which is why I see even the cards feel a little bit heavier and darker if you really get into it. That one almost needed to be sacrificed to some degree for the other. It's like they had to be like set aside or put out the way, or, you know, like laid down, or to some degree decimated, and, you know, like broke up the happy home type of energy, so that it could absorb that energetic force and flow to fund, whether it be physically or just, like I said, energetically, their dark ambitions. But it's almost like with an energy such as this, perhaps the two could have existed, but for whatever reason, that's the ambition here, is that I guess it really can't, though. It can, but in the mind's eyes of these forces here in this frequency, it couldn't, because they would always pale in comparison to this more spiritual supremacy of sorts. What is this? So it's like literally the intention to forge an attack against this legacy, this dynasty. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Oh, this is far more universal. That's why it's so hard for me to spit it out. Oh gosh. Okay. So, I feel like if you already know, then you know, and you heard what I've been trying to say, you know, with great challenge, because this is the resistance happening in real time, where people that have assumed a place of prominence. No coincidence, I'm talking about, the established powers of the nation and things of that sort, which is well beyond just the powers of the nation. We could even stretch it to world powers, world leaders, The ambitions driven by lust, driven by capitalism, driven by greed and possession of land and people and power and all that other stuff. It did come at a great cost and desecration of, let's say, all right, let's put this is plain and simple, how territories, even in the United States, were assumed and consumed, were people that had rights to the land of many different cultures, because we've seen this happen as far as Hawaii. History has seen it with the natives itself, that were here before anyone else. With once, African Americans started to establish themselves and their lands were taken over as eminent domain and things of that sort. I'm sure in the Latin community, there's some expression of that, even in this country, of what that looks like. Every disenfranchised culture that has been, and this is me putting it primitively and practically in a way that will hopefully make a little bit more sense. It's like the powers that took those risks and liberties, not even risks, because they weren't risks for them. They were spiritually, whether they realized it or not, but it was really the liberties that they took to infringe upon others' liberties of living, trying to maintain, this hold on that territory, the stake and the claim and what they have ordained for themselves to be of their rightful ownership, which, for those powers, let them tell it, it's every edge of the world, let alone every edge of the continent, let alone the country, right? Let alone the globe. But that's the energy. It's this supremacist, unsanctified supremacist spirit that is now meeting its day. That's what's happening. This was the energy that's been imposed, and that's why I was like, attack on the one man attack, because that's the imbalance of power force now. May not have always been, but the temperance is here. That's angelic presence in the earth now. That's the imbalance of the power now, that those that were able to enforce a certain intrude a certain force, I should say, upon groups of people and different cultures. Like I said, soul tribe, and we could talk about this from a practical standpoint with culture, but also divine people, and on a more universal spectrum of those that have been trying to monopolize the energy of supreme beings for their own life force fuel and for the empowerment of the system as it is, and suppress their any affluence or progression thereof. It's now like turning over. That's why it was so hard for me to get out, because it's like it's the last thing that they want to hear. That they don't want to hear that energy. And I'm not speaking toward any race, any person. It's an energy, because let's be clear, there are going to be people of all colors and creeds that are going to come under judgment, and maybe have already met their tower moment on account of just being affiliated with that mind state, that, like I said, that mafia state of mind, where we just going to take what's ours, take what's not, you know, whatever we got to do to maintain the order of our creed, our family structure, our power dominance. That's what we're going. That's why I was like mafia, because that's the energy here. This is not that. This was the dominance that was projected over that, over those that were living or ordained to a more spiritual existence and expression. But as we started at the very beginning of the message, there's been corruption even within the ranks of that operation at this point, to the point that it is imploding itself from the inside out. It's like there's very little that those that may have been victimized or vulnerable need to actually do, particularly in a physical form. There's very little that needs to be done just to continue to maintain your own will, your own posture, stay in tune to your spiritual intelligence, know when it's time to bust a move and when it's not, when it's time to sit still, keep working on the things that are, you know, because family, like I said, family could be up in here as far as you're concerned, the enemy, damn near, you know, but soul tribe is different. That's a different frequency than even your bloodline these days. So this is where the encouragement lies for you to continue to work in that effort and with the support of the family that you create, even if it's not the one you came here through. Because you see where they at. It's like, wow, this was like pulling teeth. Oh my God. King of Pentacles. Here's the Two of Cups on the floor, but I'm not going to keep that. But these are agreements. Should I keep that? If I'm thinking that long, I must need to keep it. So I'll put it down there, but let's see what else we got. Yeah, this is balanced, equal give and take. Yeah, this is the Justice here. What's one more under the Queen of Cups? That's too many. But the Fool and Seven of Wands protect your ground on these new beginnings. Stand your ground and protect your energy. Still a bit much, but the Emperor card and the Four of Wands, balance and authority. And that almost felt like a release from authority with the Four of Wands. Like people are being liberated. Knight of Pentacles and the World card. It's been slow, but cycles have been closing. And now it's time for a new one to begin. It's been a long time coming. Okay, finally. And that's the balance. And that definitely lends to my thought that it's people breaking away from the establishment or from dictatorships within the establishment. That's what it is. Balance, give and take, people taking more control over their assets and being more free to acquire wealth and maintain it, to build, I keep messing up the cards, to build legacy, to build harmony and balance on their own terms. That's what this is, literally own terms, with the Two of Cups. New partnerships, new contracts. old contracts being voided from old world constructs, you know. This is like a complete upturn. It's a redistribution of wealth, first of all, but it's also a transfer of power. The energies that held authority, dominance, and prominence in our reality, they already don't. It's just that not everybody realizes that truth yet. They've already lost a great deal of control. First of all, within their own operation, within their own selves, a lot of them have begun to self-destruct personally. And so with that, down goes the establishment, but only to give way for the balance of what should have been anyway, which is just like equal opportunity for everyone to excel, succeed, progress, prosper. That should have always been an option, a potential available. The only reason that it wasn't is because of what? Like I said, the suppression of certain peoples, not exclusive to any color or culture, but just the suppression of the masses, more practically, for a very small percentile of those to build legacies, build wealth in that disparity, to the point where it almost eventually lives depended on the disparity. It's like you built the wealth on a disparity, and then it became, a dark web or a rabbit hole, a cycle, because in order to maintain that exuberance of wealth, people, that's what it is. The when I said seduced with what? Wealth, prosperity. It's like they became so intoxicated with greed and with, and possessed about their own wealth potential, or God forbid, lack thereof, that it just became a by any means necessary, just like how capitalism has grown to be a bit of a monster in this country, where it starts off as something small and innocent and even legal, but it was exactly those foundations that were laid back then in that Gilded Age that I made reference to, with the tycoons of that time and the big money men of that era, that created a culture that more or less, although there have been some regulations and some changes overall, in some ways, like child labor laws and work environment regulations, and even minimum wage, and things of that nature, and structured work days, whereas before, and back in that time, the proprietors, like the owners, set the standard, and they more or less bonded together to stick together on, like a mafia, more or less, but they bonded together to uphold certain standards amongst themselves as, the businessmen of that time. And really, because there was no law or regulation at that time, they didn't really adhere to the needs of the people, the ones working, actually creating their fortunes, until there was revolt, a lot of times with the uprising of unions, and people literally like exchanging gunfire on picket lines for just the privilege to, the privilege to work a fair day's for a fair wage and in a healthy environment. Like, forget about health insurance and all of that good stuff. That came much later. So it started something in this country that, for the most part, without much pushback, the line doesn't really move much on account of, at the highest level of corporation and business, people are still looking to make the most on their bottom line for as much as they can sideswipe having to worry about how to get there. And now within, of course, the confines of law and regulation, thankfully, but even still, sometimes against that, or as sneakily around it as they can possibly get. And even still, with the so-called regulations, every day new laws are passed because it's still very imbalanced, even now, which is what is causing the uprising and the implosion of sorts. That's what it is, from the inside out, where people are becoming more independent proprietors and opening their own small businesses and becoming more financially independent and secure in their own way, so it's like less people that actually work those jobs and so there's an exchange happening with how that gets to be filled too. But I feel like before that gets to happen, or on the back of the failure of how these energies try to influence a shift back into submission to that way of society, and into submission of what we're used to, particularly in this country. What was I saying? It's like there was something that was intended. This was the intention here, to do something that would have kind of beat people back into submission, or it may be on the horizon. I don't know. Sometimes, my timing is still a little bit hazy sometimes, but whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, because if this already happened, it's a sign that it failed, whatever the intention was, and on whatever intended target, and whatever is intended has already failed, because the motivation behind it now is misaligned with the order of the divine. There wasn't much regulation back then, and then of course, like things slowly but surely evolved even to what we see today. But there's a new order of business, literally now, from a higher ordinance that all must comply with, or it'll be to your own demise. Literally, you'll be fired. So businesses, what I think is going to happen, and I had this vision too. The other day I was thinking about this, like businesses are going to have to, ooh, you gonna have me say that right now? Okay, I'll say it. Businesses are going to, especially established companies, particularly of a traditional and conventional order, like corporations and things like that have been, doing it their way, or doing it the American way, and so on and so forth, because it's not limited to America, of course, but they've been doing it a certain type of way. They're going to have to learn new tricks. And by that, I mean, there's going to be, there's going to be an opportunity, if they're open to it, and only those that are open and not still rejective of this spiritual influence will survive. But those that are smart, those that are wise, are going to have to establish a spiritual order within their business structure. And what do I mean by that? Practically speaking, companies that are going, you know how they'll have like consultants come in and help them more or less try to figure out how to enhance their bottom line, or to streamline production, or like do certain things that ultimately would be for the sake of advancing their profits. There's going to need to be that investment and collaboration on a spiritual, from a spiritual nature, to for companies that want to survive or cross over into this new world experience and truly be profitable, even beyond profitable, like prosperous, to incorporate some spiritual consultation, not in the sense of like religion, where it's like, well, you need to do this and nobody works on Sunday. It's like to enhance the energetic culture of that establishment or corporation. So, for instance, to kind of clean up where things are out of alignment, out of order, where the people are being disenfranchised, where the practices are immoral, where there's imbalance or unfairness, unnecessary competition that's being incited, literally to bring spiritual order, and it's for the purposes of ultimately, advancing the profits, because I feel like you're not going to be able to have one without the other, certainly not for a long projection of time, if those measures are not taken. And it sounds kind of crazy now, but you mark my words, it's on the same lines as, like I said, like how there wasn't much regulation, there wasn't much order back in the day when people were establishing the culture of capitalism. These big tycoons were just doing what the hell made them money and paying the wage that they deemed fair, and the rest can kick rocks. And at that time, there was a higher demand because there were far less jobs than there were people that were desperate to work them. But that's the shift of balance that's occurring now, where there are far more jobs than there are people that are willing or able, in this regard, to work them. So in order to, and then in that regard, people have more options as to not work for any establishment at all and to create their own, which is going to just create even more competition. So it's like you almost have to become competitive within your own corporate structure, but not in the way that it used to be, necessarily to compete for every dollar there is in that market, but really for the loyalty and commitment and devotion of your people, of the entities, the energies that actually make the thing work. And that could be on a grand scale, like I said, such as corporation, but also even having higher integrity as a small businessman, or your own proprietorship, where your reputation will be your currency. And if you're out here doing shiesty stuff, working in the dark arts or in the black market or the underworld, that frequency will project itself, and it will ultimately depreciate the value of your product or your whatever your service, whatever it is you offer. It'll just energetically, it will depreciate. You can have the best thing on the market, but if you're not operating in a certain integrity, hear me, because I feel like this is more important than anything that I've said thus far, and that's funny because it's been a while. If you're not operating in a certain integrity, it's going to crash and burn. It will implode from the inside, because the magneticism of whatever that established force is will be repelled from an exchange that would sustain it, let alone prosper it, if that makes sense. So again, corporations that are already standing, I don't know if they're all going to wisen up, but for instance, they're going to have to employ consultants such as myself, such as other spiritual leaders, moral experts, and energetic influencers and healers to take a look at the practices of that establishment, talk to the people, consider the minefield of even the management and the leadership structure and how everything works together energetically and what that means for the impression of profits and prosperity. Unless they have a moral leader already in place or some, counselor or consultant in that regard. But most companies don't, because that doesn't matter. It's like the difference of how human resources became a thing. That wasn't a thing before. You got your paycheck, you got on about your way. But when companies started to get smart on the fact that people were the profits, again, just because the lines were being pushed more and more for them to have no choice but to, right? Not because somebody wisened up and said, you know what, I'm gonna be fair to my people. It was the contention that made way for the concession. So then human resources or personnel became a department where it wasn't just about giving out paychecks and making sure people got their fair wage, but it was also encountering workplace culture and how, conflicts and problem solving and things of that sort that needed to happen off, like out of the hands of the managers that were hands-on, so to speak. A whole nother department and, what I'm trying to say, component of business was born. And that's what's about to happen again. It's going to have to, even with these companies that have had skin in the game for centuries, perhaps, for years. If there hasn't been an overhaul, like a filter system in some degree of the energetic force field of that structure, it's due for one, or it's either going to implode or fail, or it's just not going to yield the profit and prosperity that it has the potential to do so. So get ready to start, being courted. You might be headhunted right now because people are going to want to have. One thing about it, first of all, I have experience in human resources at the dawn of a time of what I'm talking about. When personnel was one thing, making sure you got paid, because that was something that, that was a job to be outsourced beyond personal managers. But it began to expand to a greater capacity of care for the direct impact that people make on the profit. I witnessed that firsthand when I worked for McDonald's Corporation, and I worked on a very small human resources team that served a large territory. But it was at that time when there was like an awakening within corporate that we need to pay more attention to this in order for us to save our bottom line. We need someone in place that is particularly skilled to care how our people feel and what they think, and the workplace morale and all that type of stuff. We need people in place to implement structure and order, to problem solve, and even to do damage control, and also to even put things in place for, like, to be proactive about certain possible problems down the line. I'm struggling with my words right now, but basically I'm telling you because I've seen this firsthand of how something can be insignificant and all of a sudden there's like a dire need for it. And that's the same energy that's about to happen now, where these companies are not going to survive unless they have taken into account the spiritual force or energetic force of their structures. Yeah, new plans. They're going to have to, exactly, new plans. And these company heads, not that it's, exclusive to men, of course, but leadership, particularly CEOs, yeah, justice, look at that. I didn't even mean to do that, but that makes sense. Are going to have to find a new way, new plans to create balance and harmony within their power dynamic or within their organizational structure that will ultimately sustain their productivity. Those that are resistant to that will ultimately self-destruct. That's what it comes down to, it in the way that I just said it. And I still feel like, oh, they'll get what I'm giving them type of vibes. They'll feel the burn. And you'll move on and you'll go, because people are going to move on and go where they feel appreciated, where they feel inspired, where they feel well compensated, fairly treated, or they'll do it themselves. Like those are going to be the options. There are going to start to be far less people that are willing to work for anything or for anyone and in any condition just to say they have a paycheck. And the thing about it is, those that will be of lesser value to those that truly have a great stake at hand, because they won't be as devoted or committed to the level of work and excellence that's needed to productively run these establishments. So either way, they'll play themselves out of position if they don't make the intention, the forwarding intention to invest in the spiritual health of their establishment by way and through the essence of the people and the environments that are created and the policies that are incited. New plans. The world has changed. New order is imperative. So I'm available. If you like a consultation, you're not afraid to let me look at your I'll be honest with you about what I see. Hell, you only have, and given my recommendations, take it or leave it. You don't have to take it. It ain't my damn business. You know what I'm saying? But I would advise as if it was, that would be my integrity, that I would advise from that energetic perspective as if it was my business and as if I were the employee and how I would want to feel, and not even just that, because it's about the morality and all that too. So even say, someone to engage you on what you outsource. Like you may be, as a big corporation, I'm going to prophesy that a lot of production is going to be called back to America on account of the malpractices of other countries, of sweatshops and unfair wages and things of that sort. Like we're going back from that. That was where we went because it was cheaper to outsource or to send work and to industrialize overseas, where again, where what there's less regulation or more limitation or whatever the case, or less limitation I should say, than it is here. People will work for less, and do more and all that. But I feel like there's going to be a shift back because, as I said, those companies that are doing that they're going to see a great decline, because that's an investment that can't be morally justified anymore. You're either going to have to make sure those people are paid properly and in the proper working conditions, just as you would in your own, on your own home soil, or it'll just make sense to bring those jobs back to the U.S. or bring those environments, those opportunities back to the U.S. because you want to pay the money anyway. You have to. That's the only thing that's fair. So then it'll ultimately enhance the quality of life right back here on American soil, as people have what? More opportunity to live a stable and secure life, to make a sustainable living. A lot of that has desecrated the country as well. It's given opportunity there, but it's taken opportunity from here. And by there, I mean in other countries where I'm happy that they had opportunity, but then it'll open up a lane for those countries, hopefully, to follow suit, to start to create more opportunity on their soil. And maybe as a result of the moral correction, we may do the same by just offering better wages and better conditions, even if you choose to stay in those places. But there has to be moral justice and moral balance restored for anyone to prosper in this new world order. People can resist it, they can deny it, they can reject it, they can try to get around it, but eventually the facts and figures will speak for themselves. So eventually everyone is going to have to relent to an evolved prospect or perspective of life in order to sustain, let alone to prosper. So again, I'm available for consultation, I'm available for, you can't even say the damn word. How you available, child? Consulting. I can consult your moral compass for sure. You may not like the changes financially at first, but I'm telling you, you will sustain yourself, your legacy, and your dynasty in the long run. You heard it here first. All right. So anyway, who even knows who's going to hear that? But whomever does, God bless you. Heaven smile upon you, as my pastor used to say. God bless his soul. Okay, so yeah, I'm done. That was a bit of a stretch and a struggle. I dare say. I almost wish I could just cut out that last little bit, because that seems to be the most important part. But there's still some synergy in the rest of the stuff I said too. Because the point of the matter is, a lot of this spiritual and corporate financial corruption, not just corporate, but you know what I mean, corruption in general, corruption and collusion is the reason we're in this mess now. So now there has to be a reversal of sorts to get us back on track. All of us, every last one of us, for there to be balance, so that we can all sustain this planet without imploding it for no one to inhabit, So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Receive it as you will. Of course, as always, until next time, I leave you with peace.